Last year, I got back into sim racing after a long leave of absence. I wanted the best equipment for the money. I thought that $400 was mid-tier pricing, and I bought a nearly new T248, which is a Thrustmaster wheel. Allow me to share with you what my experience was with this $400 sim racing budget, and also why I upgraded very shortly after. At $400, I thought I was going to get a pretty good sim racing setup that was mid-tier and had the quality to go with it. So I started to look around for a entry-level to mid-tier $400 pedal and wheel combo, and quickly I made up my mind that I wanted the T248, the Thrustmaster, or the Logitech G923. As I will be using this on PlayStation, it was kind of limited. Both of these wheelbases seem to be somewhat similar to each other, both in quality and also in pricing, so I figured either one of those will work for me. After a bit of research, I did find a used T248 on Amazon that said like new, so I jumped right on that, ordered it, and a couple days later it actually showed up at my doorstep. At the time, when I took it out of the box, it actually looked really impressive to me because I wasn't used to anything like that. I was still pretty new to the sim racing scene at the moment. I did have a wheel earlier on, years and years and years ago, but it wasn't up to par at what it is now. It just looked and felt way better than my old Logitech Driving Force GT. I quickly mounted it to my desk and I started playing Dirt 5 and also Formula 1, I believe it is 2021. And I was in love. The wheel had, to me, strong force feedback. It was precise and it did everything that I'd expected it to do. I loved the pedals that it came with. I loved the paddle shifters, the clicking noise it made, everything. I was in love, and I was definitely in the honeymoon phase. As sim racing is truly a sport or hobby that is just an endless money pit, so I would definitely suggest to do your research before you start buying stuff. As I did, I just jumped right in without thinking, and this is where the issues began. My first mistake was thinking that this was going to be a buy once, play situation, which it definitely is not. You cannot buy one thing and just live with it. After a couple weeks of using my wheel, I started to notice the little things. The paddle shifters were obnoxiously loud to the other inhabitants of this house. The clicking was just unbearable. The vibration function of the T248 made it feel like it was going to implode into itself and probably damage the foundation of the house as well. But the biggest thing that I was thinking of was I just wanted to get immersed even more than I was. And that meant only one thing. I had to get a sim racing cockpit. A week or so later, a big box from Amazon arrived again. It was the Next Level Racing FGT Lite, which I picked out for me. It's one of those foldable ones, so you can put it away. Again, I was just in the honeymoon phase. So I set up my cockpit, sat in it. I was able to scratch that sim racing itch. Life was good. The more I raced, the more I started to notice that the T248 does feel like a very basic wheel. The dead zone when you're driving a straight line was very noticeable. It just felt like you were just holding onto a wheel that wasn't plugged in. The gears also sounded really bad. Sounded like the older wheels again. And rally driving with the wheel was also not great either. The snapback was very slow, so you had to really push it back yourself to get it back into a straight line. That was very painful and something needed to be done. So I made up my mind. I needed a better wheel. I saved up a substantial amount of credit card points that I could use at Best Buy, so I started looking around for the next best thing. My budget landed me on a Thrustmaster T-GT II, which you can see right in front of me at the moment. I believe that this wheel combo would definitely solve all of the issues and concerns that I had, and it would also let me interchange the wheel rims itself, which was a great addition. Things were really looking up. 1 week later, a big box from Best Buy arrived at my front door. This was the moment that I've been waiting for. The unboxing of the wheelbase itself already showed me that this thing is high quality compared to the other ones. Everything just felt premium. Everything felt thick, heavy, the way it's supposed to be. And none of that plastic flex that you had in the other wheel. This is as good as it gets for belt-driven wheels. So I installed it right away on my cockpit and started driving, and I was mind blown. It is crazy how much better the T-GT II is over the T248. It's just on another planet. It's not even in the same league. So the budget of $400 was blown a couple times over, and I was not done yet. As awesome as the T-GT II is, there was a lot of flexing now in my cockpit. Because it was one of those foldable ones like I mentioned before, the torque of the T-GT II was really messing with it. Every time I was going through a corner, you could feel the whole bottom plate moving around, which is not something that you really want. So this could not stand. I needed to find a better cockpit that would do the wheel justice. At this point, I sold the T248 and the cockpit as well to get a little bit of more money out of it to spend on my next cockpit. I was looking for a lightweight, movable, but very durable cockpit. So I ordered the playseat trophy, which I am sitting in right now. The cockpit itself is not cheap, but it is so much nicer than the foldable ones. There's no flex, there's no hassle getting in and out. It's just perfection. Now that I had all these excellent items, the wheel, the cockpit, the little mat underneath it, there was still one thing that I had to take care of: the pedals. I needed load cell pedals. I had it in my head. Everybody keeps talking about it. I needed them. The ones that came with the steering wheel were no good. And this was also one of the best decisions I've ever made. Load cell pedals do actually really make a difference. I mentioned that in another video I've made before too. Load cell pedals are always the way to go. So after I bought these load cell pedals, the setup was complete as it is right now. It is still a work in progress, I guess, as it always is, but the way it is right now is what I explained to you. Plus a couple other different wheel rims in the background that go with it, of course. Also in this time frame, while I was doing all this, I also upgraded my PS4 to PS5, and I also purchased the PSVR 2 for better immersion in Gran Turismo. So the budget was definitely blown a couple times over. So this brings me back to the $400 budget that I mentioned before. Can you sim race on a $400 budget? Absolutely, no questions asked. But is it sustainable? Probably not. If you're like me and you get a little bit lost in your hobby, starting off at a low budget is not the way to go, just like I did. You're definitely going to want to upgrade multiple items. Sim racing is just one of those things that has a never-ending upgrade path. So the best advice that I can give you is save up a little bit and set your budget pretty high. Then you're going to have less turnover on items like I did, because I started pretty low and I've just been upgrading ever since. I do have another video on my channel that goes more in depth on getting started with sim racing, so if you want to check that out, I will include a link. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other experience on getting started with sim racing, let me know what your budget was and how you got started, what equipment you had. It'll be nice to know myself that I was not the only one that made some mistakes, and it'd be nice for other people to know as well, so leave them down below in the comments. I hope you have a great rest of your day.